Hello and welcome back to Circa 1990, or welcome if you're new here. I'm continuing with my ceramics range. This is a plate inspired by the Middle Eastern designs that I have been exploring in the British Museum. And this is a 2-layer silkscreen print, and it is a design front on of a dinner plate. In my video today I'll be explaining how I produced it, the different layers that went into it, and then you can sort of see it coming together. Of course, as always, if you've got any questions then please do ask and I will try and answer them as best I can. So I start off by making the paper mask, and I've put that underneath my screen, and now I'm putting a mix of blue and white which gives it a nice sort of purpley light blue colour. I put it across the screen. I made a slight error here whereby I haven't actually put enough wide across the screen, so I have to drag the ink across several times to make sure it will go through all the spaces and I won't get any sort of areas which are missed by the squeegee. So a couple of pulls and it doesn't really matter too much. Sometimes ink will bleed, but luckily with this first one I haven't had any issues. So that produced the first design. And I take that away to dry. For the next design, I had some issues with bleeding. So as you see here, it really did squeeze out underneath. So here you see the underside of the paper mask, and you can see where it's bled across. So to stop this going out on any further prints, I just mask it off with some masking tape. This doesn't seem to cause any issues with the following prints. So for the purpose of illustration, I've just shown the next print that comes in. The masking tape is now on the back of the screen. It won't stick to the paper. I pull across the next layer. I've got really good adhesion again. Lifting it up, and you can see no problems with bleeding. With the first layer dry, I put on a new paper mask. This one's a bit more intricate, and I had some problems cutting it in that it kept tearing, so I had to do a couple. And for this, because I don't need to mix up any extra paint, I can just use the raw navy colour which comes in this tube. I'm just going to use that. The disadvantage of this is that you can't get it back into the tube after it comes out, of course, but also it will go down thicker. I normally use a medium which does thin it and make it slightly more opaque, as I did with the other one, but with this design I didn't really need it. It's the final layer, so it doesn't have any issues with depth build-up. So when it comes through the screen, it actually does produce a certain level of thickness, similar to what you might get on a t-shirt if you've looked at a silkscreen printed Daines shirt. Sometimes there's like a slightly rubbery depth to it, which I'll try and show you in some detail later on. So that's the design. It's gone through, it's been registered, and now all subsequent prints following on from this will be nice and clean and aligned. I do the next design, bring it across, and this time I have a tiny amount of bleeding. If you look closely at the bottom point, you'll notice it did spread out a little bit. It looks a little bit like a snake's tongue. So I mask it off again and then continue the print run. So here you can see me masking up, just trying to get into where it has spread a bit. I also notice that the ink is creeping towards the edge, and I don't really want to be leaving stripes down the end of my artwork. So I've also run an extra strip along the side to mask it out. Showing the decks is actually quite difficult to do, but if I just move this light here, you'll notice that the ink does cast a shadow, so it is a little bit raised out. So here's the finished design. I really hope that you like this week's video. If there is any questions you have, do of course put them in the comments below and I will try and get back to you. If you haven't subscribed already, then please do consider it. and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.